Blocking is a vital aspect of fighting games, but is rarely discussed. So in this video, I would like to talk about when or why you should block. We'll go over a few common situations that happen in most fighting games and discuss the pros and cons of blocking. The first situation we'll go over is the knockdown to okizeme situation. For people who do not know what okizeme is, it is Japanese fighting game lingo for doing an attack while an opponent is recovering from knockdown. Just as a heads up, some English speakers may shorten this to Oki. Now in most fighting games, if you are knocked down, you are unable to do anything until you are fully recovered from the knockdown. In some situations, this lets the opponent set up a variety of attacks on the defender's wake up. For example, we'll have Ryu from Street Fighter V get a knockdown with EX Hadouken, then do a meaty standing medium punch for okizeme. For people who do not know what a meaty attack is, it is when a move hits the opponent in the later active frames. If you want to know exactly how it works, check out our dedicated video on it. Link will be in the cards and description. Now let's analyze this situation from the defender's side. Since the attack hits meaty, non-invincible attacks will not be able to beat it. So no matter how hard you mash your fastest button, it will only make the situation worse. The other option is to do an invincible attack. This will then go through the standing medium punch and hit Ryu. And unless Ryu is near the corner, the defender will not get strong okizeme. However, if the opponent decides to block this attack, the defender is in a world of pain. So let's switch sides and analyze the potential outcomes for Ryu when he decides to block on the defender's wake up. As seen previously, if reversal is blocked, he can punish heavily. If the defender decides to block expecting a meaty attack, they are in an even state. And at worst case, if the defender decides to do a non-invincible and non-punishable attack on wake up, Ryu will block. If you noticed here, the worst case scenario for Ryu is taking some damage at the expense of meter from the opponent, while the worst case scenario for the defender is using that same meter only to take huge damage and having to deal with okizeme again. You can tell from this exchange that Ryu has to take less risks to gain substantial advantage, while the defender has to take more risks to gain little. This is what we call risk-reward calculations. To make matters worse for the defender, some characters do not have invincible attacks to challenge. And in other games and characters, the attacker can do aerial attacks that can hit meaty while being safe to invisible reversals. These attacks are called safe jumps, and if you want more details on how they work, check out our dedicated video on it. Links will be in the cards and details. So with all that said, what is the lowest risk that the defender can take? You guessed it, it's blocking. Let's go back to Ryu's okizeme and analyze the possibilities when the defender blocks. If Ryu does a meaty standing medium punch, the defender will lose some great health. If Ryu decides to block expecting a reversal, the situation is set to even. And lastly, if Ryu decides to throw, the defender will take some damage but much less than what a full combo will do. It will also lead to a knockdown Okizeme situation where Ryu will no longer be able to thread a meaty throw, which makes the next defense situation easier to manage. And to make blocking even safer, some games will not allow meaty throws on wake up, making defensive options a bit easier. Games like Street Fighter 3 gives the defender throw invincibility on wake up, so they only have to worry about blocking strikes for the first few frames. As you can see, the risk is much smaller compared to the option of not blocking on wake up. Now that we've seen how we can minimize risk by blocking on Okizeme, let's take a look at the attacker's next set of options. Once the opponent starts blocking, the attacker will more likely do actions to break defense. For example, Ryu may opt to do an overhead attack instead of standing medium punch to beat crouch blocking opponents. Or he can attempt to walk up and throw after seeing the opponent block a standing medium punch. Both of these are great choices against blocking opponents. The important thing to note here is that most of these follow-up tactics require some sort of risk from the attacker. The overhead attack has longer startup, so it can't hit meaty and can be interrupted. It's also negative on block, so if the defender blocks this as well, Ryu can lose his turn. The walk-up throw has a gap between the standing medium punch and throw, so it can be interrupted. As you can see, having good defense may push the opponent to take more risks and may tip the risk-reward scale more in your favor when you decide to switch from defense to offense. With all that said, I'm not saying you should always block on wake up or disadvantageous situations. There are times when you need to take bigger risks to turn the tide or keep the opponents guessing. However, you should only do it when you specifically read into their habits. If the opponent keeps doing a specific setup on certain situations, it may not be a bad decision to do a risky counter. But if you're simply mashing because, well, I don't want to be in this situation and I don't want to block, you're probably going to suffer from a lot of counters. If you're going to take a risk, make sure it's a calculated one. Hope that helped. This video went through general situations that applies to most fighting games, but if people are interested, I might do more detailed defense videos for specific games, characters, and situations. Let me know in the comments what you think. If you like this kind of content, be sure to combo that like and notification bell and subscribe to our channel for more fighting game related tech. And if you want extra perks like early access, check out our Patreon. Alright, till next time, have fun with fighting games.